Willow Springs International Raceway is a 9-corner road course located in Rosamond, California. It is the oldest continuously operating road course in North America and might be the fastest as well, based on average lap speed. It is a very fast track. For this video, I'm going to break the track into 6 pieces, explaining the driving line I teach. It is a DE and time trial line. There isn't a defensive component to it, which you'd want if you're wheel-to-wheel racing. I like to think that for most cars, this is the fastest line around the track. Turn 1 at Willow is a high-speed left. Its most unusual feature is that the exit of the turn is hidden, which leads novice drivers to brake more than they need to at the end of the front straight. But once you get used to it, turn 1 should be a 70 to 90 mile per hour corner for most cars. After you pass the start-finish line, make sure you move over to the right side of the track and brake in a straight line. Most cars will downshift before the turn-in too, which is not especially late for this corner. The key is to be back on the throttle before you approach the corner's apex, which is right where the row of reflectors begin on the left side. Let your speed carry you through the exit and toward the right side of the track. A lot of novices pinch this corner too tightly. As I mentioned before, the exit is blind, obscured by a slight rise and drop in the track surface. There are painted spots for brake marker cones on the right side of the track. I ignore them. This is not a corner that benefits from late or trail braking. Brake early, downshift, turn in, get on the gas. Here it is at a higher speed. Some drivers have had a lot of success not entering the corner from full right, but leaving about a single car width of track on the right side. The argument is that the irregularities in the track surface make this a smoother line. This is also a corner where you can increase your speed by turning in a little earlier than a textbook line would suggest. But be careful with early apexing this corner. Going off of turn 1 leads to a bumpy ride in the infield. Turn 2 is a long, high-speed sweeper. It can usually be taken between 80 and 100 miles per hour. It is often treated as a double apex corner, although most drivers do not go all the way to the right side of the track for the first apex. It can also be seen as a corner where you gradually bring the car to the right for a very late single apex. In either case, you enter the corner from full left, and it's smart to avoid ever going further to the left than mid-track. The outside half of this corner collects marbles and other debris, and it never helps to make the track longer than it needs to be. As you get more comfortable with this corner, you'll find that most of your steering through it will be done with the throttle. Your speed will throw you to the left about mid-track as you go into the second half of the turn. Then you're going to be using throttle to bring the car closer and closer to the right side as you look to hit that very late apex. If you miss that apex by too much, the car can get thrown all the way to the left on exit, which is another part of the track where it's a little scary to go off. Some faster drivers in lighter cars dive into turn 2 earlier rather than later, which allows them to throw the car sideways and use that drifting to scrub off speed. Done this way, you can avoid having to brake at all for turn 2. It's not a technique that's right for every car and every driver, but it can shave a few tenths of a second off of your lap times. Here is turn 2 at a higher speed. Turns 3 and 4 are difficult to separate, so I'll deal with them as a pair. The braking for turn 3 is the hardest braking you'll do on the track. You want to get your braking and your downshift out of the way before you turn in. There is very little benefit to carrying a lot of speed into turn 3, and there's a lot to be lost by turning in too early to this corner. The camber changes at the exit of turn 3 make getting the car settled a little challenging. A lot of novices go off the track coming out of turn 3. I don't think it's as essential to be fully to the left for the corner's apex as it is to go deep into the right side of the entrance and turn in nice and late. If you have sharp eyes, there's a little white mark on the right side of the track. It's well into the curve of the corner, but it's where you want to be before you actually turn in. Here it is. Everything from the braking zone to turn 3 to the point where you get on the throttle coming out of 4 is a sacrifice. You're not going to make much in terms of lap time on this uphill section of the track. It's better to concentrate on getting yourself set up for the downhill section out of 4, and to that end, you want to exit turn 3 and continue straight up the hill, ignoring that rumble strip you pass on the right. It's not an apex, and ignoring the fact that the track is turning a long couple of heartbeats before you do. I tell students to head for the B in Budweiser on the wall as they go uphill. The point is to not start turning to the right until the alternative is to shoot off the track. You want to enter turn 4 to the left, much further to the left than your instincts will suggest. You want to keep the arc of this corner as wide as possible, where your speed will drop down to its lowest point on this slowest part of the track. Ultimately, you want to head up to the top of the track, let off the gas, and rotate your car as efficiently as possible so you can be full on the gas again for the trip down the hill. There are 2 red cone placement marks on the left side of the track in 4. I tell students you want to be parallel with the left side of the track when you cross the first of these spots, and turning right toward that corner's late apex when you hit the second red spot. So you get up to the top of the hill, rotate, point the car toward the apex by the corner worker station, and then you want to use full throttle to get yourself down the hill. In most cars, this will throw you over to the left side of the track. That's fine. When you get the 3-4 combination down, it becomes a very smooth and fluid experience. With many cars, you can actually let your front right tire pass right over the dirt at the apex of turn 4. It seems like this will slam the tire against the edge of the pavement, but with many cars, you'll actually be lifting that front passenger side wheel as you go through the apex. The G-forces in this corner are pretty high. You don't want to trail brake for turn 3. If you brake at all for turn 4, it might be the one corner on the track that benefits from putting things off until very late. Here's 3 and 4 at speed. You can see the speeds my car is slowing down to. A lot of cars have to brake even more. This is the slowest section of the track. Turns 5 and 6 are another interesting combination. Turn 5 is a left-hand turn with a downhill entrance and an uphill exit. Having moved all the way to the left coming out of 4, you want to now steer the car back to the right in order to do your braking parallel with the candy stripe rumble strip on the right. You want to brake and turn in early for turn 5. The main reason is that the track is much more slippery as you get deeper into 5. You also want to emphasize getting on the gas as soon as possible with turn 5. Your lap times will benefit from being full on the throttle from as soon as you can on 5 all the way to the braking zone for turn 9. Don't downshift for turn 5. Most cars will stay in 3rd gear from the entrance to turn 3 all the way to the uphill section of turn 6. Focus on keeping the car settled and getting on the gas early. Exit turn 5 as close to mid-track as you can. You then want to turn in late for 6 and hug that right side rumble strip to reduce the drama of coming off of the hill in the middle of 6. Don't do your upshift at the very top of that hill. Most cars either short shift on the way up or put the shift off until the car is settled and they're heading downhill towards 7. Here are turns 5 and 6 at speed. My tip for turn 5 is to try braking even earlier along that right side rumble strip. You'll be excited about all the speed you're carrying down the hill from 4, but anything and everything you can do to be accelerating sooner out of 5 will deliver big benefits to your final lap time. Carrying a lot of speed into 5 can set up a spectacular save maybe, but it isn't fast. Turn 7 is a kink you can ignore. All you need to think about coming out of 6 is going as fast as you can toward turn 8, which is one of the fastest corners on any track anywhere. You want to move to the side of the track for the entrance to 8. Most cars will not need to brake. Many cars won't need to even let up on the gas. It's a very fast corner. You want to dive into it and get toward the inside edge of the track as fast as you can. There are washboard-like bumps in turn 8, and they're the worst mid-track. Just ride the inside, accelerating gradually, and looking for that very late apex. There is a red mark on the track for that, but you won't be looking at the track at this point. You'll just be going really fast. Here's turn 8 at speed. My only tip for turn 8 is that, as scary as it is, people very rarely go off the track here. It can hold a lot of speed. Many cars should be flat on the gas from the exit of 5 all the way to the exit of 8. It's hard to get your brain to accept this initially, but that's what repeated visits to Willow are for. Turn 3 is the dangerous turn when you first start out at Willow. Novices tend to be brave on slower corners, but turn 9, the most famous corner at Willow Springs, is the one that will scare you as you get more comfortable with the track. Turn 9 is a decreasing radius corner. That means you can easily carry a lot of speed in its first half, but not so much in its second. It also means that a late turn-in is essential. I recommend exiting turn 8 at about mid-track, and then doing some moderate braking when you're settled on the short straight between 8 and 9. Then things get tricky. My tip is to spot the new building that's been put up near the entrance to the track. When you see it on the horizon line, you begin to slowly drift from mid-track toward the left edge of the track. But you want to do that drift very slowly, and you want to use the building you see as a reminder to look further to the right to a white water tower, which is the most important landmark for turn 9. You want to spot that tower and drive toward it. You want to let the line between you and that tower determine the path you'll take to the left side of the track and the turn-in point for turn 9. If you had the time to look down, you'd see that there are 3 red marks for cones on the very left edge of the track. If you have followed the path to the tower and resisted the urge to turn in too early, you'll want to finally make your turn in for 9 right around the middle of those 3 red marks. They're not easy to see at speed, but that white tower is. Still, it's good to know about the marks. There is almost always a cone at the apex of 9. You do not want to miss this apex by very much at all. When you get it right, you'll feel the car get drawn down to a low spot on the track right by that apex. If you feel that whoomp, you should know you'll be fine on the exit of 9. At that point, you can use as much of the left side of the track as you need. You'll probably be somewhere between 80 and 100 miles per hour when you pass that apex cone. If you got it right, you can relax, check your gauges, and accelerate down the main straight to set up your next lap. Here's turn 9 at speed. And here's an entire lap at Willow Springs. I'll play it twice, once with no commentary, and once talking again about the driving line. Alright, I am braking here, downshifting, turning in, apexing right there, and moving track right, and then all the way back track left. I don't brake here, I dive in, keep about a car width off the right side. Car gets thrown out a little bit here. I fight back in to this very late apex, swing out left, but not too far left, then move all the way right for braking, go deep into the corner, third gear now, up the hill, straight up the hill towards the building, one red mark, second red mark I turn in, hit that apex, thrown all the way left, move back under full throttle, brake with the candy stripe, turn in early and on the gas early. Go up the hill, mid-track, turn right, hug the right side, right over the hill with no drama, upshift to fourth, fifth, flat on the gas, into turn 8, cut into the inside, very late apex, still accelerating. Finally off the gas, brake, sight the building, sight the tower, head toward the tower, turn in, hit the apex, drift out, and that's a lap. This has been Jack Olsen with my guide to Willow Springs Raceway. The car I drive is a 1972 Porsche 911. It has 272 horsepower at the crank. It weighs 2,700 pounds with me in it, and it's fast as f***.